Hello everyone, it's Jamie and welcome back to my channel and welcome to another cross-stitching video. This video is not going to be a normal stitching update. It's also not going to be a stitch with me. This is going to be the introduction to me whipping down. I talked about it in my stitch with me that I just recently did. I've also talked about it, I think at the beginning of the year when I was doing my WIP parade or when I was doing my goals video, where I was like, I would like to have less WIPs, but I have never officially done something about it. And so I am still sitting here. I have currently 36 WIPs, which actually there's going to be a slight change to that number today. And it's time for me to get that number down, which is part of why I am filming here, is because this is where I store all of my WIPs. And this is kind of the part of why I want to get the number down is there is a lot. I have some WIPs that are by my stitching area, so there are some WIPs that aren't even on the shelf, but there is just a lot to keep track of here. I feel like I have WIPs that kind of end up everywhere. They're all over the place and I just want to have less. It's a lot to keep track of the physical WIPs. It's a lot to organize when I'm doing like a WIP parade. It's a lot to go through when I am making goals videos and trying to like keep track of how many stitches I've done on each project. It's also a lot to keep track of in Pattern Keeper because all my projects I think right now are in Pattern Keeper. And you have to export progress of your Pattern Keeper charts every once in a while because projects in Pattern Keeper aren't stored to a cloud. So if your Pattern Keeper or your tablet or whatever, something happens to it, you will lose your progress if you are not exporting your progress. So I have to every once in a while go through and export progress on anything that I've worked on since the last time I did an export. And so I'm keeping track of progress files right now for 36 charts, and it's a lot to keep track of digitally, just all the progress for all these charts. And so I want to have less. I also would like to be able to work on things more frequently because right now I feel like I don't have a lot of time to give to each chart. Like I had a new start recently and the whole time I was working on it, I kind of felt a little guilty that I was working on a new start and not something else that is older and, you know, also needs to be worked on. There's always kind of a thing in the back of my head of like, you should be working on this instead of this. And I would like to just finish some things, get to a more reasonable number, and then I can just enjoy stitching a lot more without having to worry about the organizing, the keeping track of files, and, you know, feeling the guilt of I should be working on this and I'm working on this. So whipping down. This is going to be kind of like some guidelines of how to whip down. I mean, it's very simple technically. It should just be work on what you own, don't start new things. That's it. That should be the guidelines. But, you know, it's not that simple because we are stitchers. There are new charts coming out all the time that we would like to get. And so one of the things that I'm going to have as like a little guideline is that I will have 2 finishes for every 1 start. I'm also going to have categories for myself. And the categories are under 100,000 stitches and over 100,000 stitches. So I'm going to be keeping track of if a chart that I finish is under 100,000 stitches or if it's over. And so if I want to have a new start, it has to be like kind of in those categories. So if I finish 2 charts that are under 100,000 stitches, then I can start something else that is also under 100,000 stitches. And this way it will keep me not starting a lot of large charts because obviously the larger the chart, the longer it will take to stitch. And so if I want to start a large chart, that means I need to finish 2 things that are over 100,000 stitches to be able to start something else that is over 100,000 stitches. So I feel like this is a good way to kind of, you know, keep me on track a little bit. And so that is going to be fun. And it's also starting right now, which means I wanted to start Link at the end of September, which is this month. And so if I want to start Link, I need to have 2 finishes that are under 100,000 stitches because Link is under 100,000 stitches. So I will be finishing Kita. She is under 100,000 stitches. And then I also plan on trying to get Strawberry Farm by Flossie Fox Shop finished this month, and that way I will be able to start Link. I originally was kind of like, I could just start Link anyways, and then I'll start this afterwards, but I did not want to keep pushing off doing this concept of whipping down because I feel like it would be very easy for me to just say, you know, let Link slide because I had already been planning it, but then I would just keep pushing it off. Like I would be like, okay, then I'll wait till the beginning of next year and then I'll start it fresh at the beginning of a year. And that's why I just wanted to get this started. I'm not giving myself a time deadline on this because this is something that's going to be a long-term ongoing like process. It's going to take me a very long time to finish a lot of the things that I have started because they are so large. So there's no deadline. This is really just going to be a change in the way that I stitch, like a long-term change of just avoiding all the new starts, working on what I have, and just slowly changing the way that I do things because I had years where I started 7 large full coverage charts, and so I need to just start changing the way that I am stitching, the way that I am consuming things, and get the number down. Get this shelf down. I would really like to be able to just have my projects in like 2 of these cubbies. Right now they take up 1, 2, 3, and there is one down here that is like extra project bags and fabrics and charts that I've purchased and haven't started. And so I really just want to work through all this stuff. I want to work through what I have started. When I have new starts, I would like them to be things I already have. Like I have this Praiseworthy Stitches charts. I have Halloween Quaker, and so I really, when I have new starts, would like them to be coming from my section down here of things that are ready to be started. And you put that back. And then also I am getting rid of a WIP for right now. So the chart Snow Cherries, I was talking about how I don't love it as much as my other Maxine Gad charts, so I am going to be quitting it for right now. So this is all that I had done on it, and I started it 3 years ago, I think. So it's time for it to go. Right now, I'm just going to put it in my bottom shelf, and then if I ever want to pull it back out, I would be treating it like a new start. So I would have to finish 2 things to pull this chart back out. But if in like a few months I don't want to keep working on it, like if I know I'm not going to start it again, I will most likely take this fabric and just cut the part off where I stitched on it, and then I can use the fabric for a different start. So for now, it's going out of my active WIPs, which means my active WIPs right now are 35 WIPs. And I'm not sure yet what I want to get my numbers down to in terms of how many WIPs I would like to have when I am like done. I don't know what number I will be comfortable at, so I'm most likely just going to start this process, keep whittling down the numbers, and then adjusting as I go, you know, because I already know that I most likely am never going to have like 5 or 10 WIPs, because to me that's not enough for the amount of variety that I would like to stitch, because I would like to have a piece for every season that I rotate out, and then it's not something I would necessarily finish in that season, but it could be something that I work on for, you know, 3, 4, 5 years, because, you know, I like large charts. But right now the problem is that I have 3, I think I have 3 full coverage Christmas charts. I need to get that down to only having 1, and then I could rotate it out every year and just work on my seasonal charts every year. So I already know that I most likely am going to have 4 WIPs that are just taken up with seasons. I'll have a fall, winter, summer, spring, and then also I will most likely always have a long dog sampler, so that right there puts me at 5. I would always want to have like a main WIP, which would be something like Rose Library, where it's something that doesn't fit into the seasonal, but it's something that I really want to stitch. And then there's like going to be things like an Etsy chart, maybe a fandom chart, because I do like to stitch on things like my Game of Thrones one. Whenever there is a new season of a Thrones themed show, I like to have that chart to stitch on. So there's most likely going to be categories that I need to come up with and figure out what categories I would like to have to give myself variety, because I still want to have variety in my stitching, but I just want to have less, because like I said, right now there's, you know, 3 full coverage Christmas charts and I only really need 1. So I need to pick them one by one, go through them and finish them. The way that I most likely am going to do this is I'll pick the Christmas chart that has the least amount of stitches, try and get that finished first, and then work on the next. And then the largest Christmas chart I have is, I think, Christmas Presents, I think. And that one is huge. And so I'm most likely just going to try and do like, you know, picking them one at a time and tackling them that way, because otherwise I don't know how else I would get rid of some of these large Christmas charts. But that is the start of my process. And I am going to try and keep some of these update videos separate from my regular floss tube videos. The reason being that not everyone who watches my regular videos is going to care about whipping down, because it's not something that everyone wants to do, feels the need to do. And so it's something that I will most likely keep separate, so that if there are other people out there who do want to also do something similar and bring down their number of whips. So I'm going to keep these videos separate. I don't know how often I'll update, because I don't know how often I will actually have finishes, but we will see. And I'm just happy to have started this journey that will most likely take a very long time. So thank you everyone for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!